Well, one of the big questions, and you just heard our traders bring it up, was asked during today's press conference whether Janet Yellen will be back for a second term once her current one ends at the end of January of next year. Here's how she answered.
So I have said that I intend to serve out my term as chair, and that I'm really not going to comment on my intentions beyond that. I will say that I have not had a further meeting with President Trump. I met with him early in my term, and I've not had a further meeting with him.
Todd Colvin, our trader, had just said, Charlie, that is a major question. So first, explain to us what you're hearing and why it should matter to the retailer investor watching right now.
Well, I mean, listen, if you, I guess this is where I come out on this. If it's between Janet Yellen and Gary Cohn to be the next Fed chair, you have to think that either Trump really is mad at Gary Cohn right now over his response, Cohn's response to Trump's Charlottesville remarks, or that, you know, my guess is he either has to be really mad at him, so he's not going to give him the job, because he should have the job over Janet Yellen. And I'll tell you, a couple things struck me about the testimony. Number one, she hasn't had a further meeting with Trump. That marginally is a favorable sign for Gary Cohn. All regulators should be attentive to undue regulatory burden, look for ways to scale that back. Okay, you know, by the way, everybody says that. And here's the thing that really caught my eye. Core post-financial crisis regulations should remain. That is in direct contradiction of what Donald Trump campaigned on, which was getting rid of many, many regulations, including Dodd-Frank. She seems to be saying that, you know, it still should be enforced. They should keep the tenets of Dodd-Frank, which is mainly enforced by the Fed. Gary Cohn, as you know, from Goldman Sachs, wants to essentially relax a lot of Dodd-Frank and change it. And so if it's between those two, you got to give the push to Gary Cohn, unless Trump is just so mad at him over what he said. And I heard he was really annoyed. And now here's the third thing. Maybe he gives it to neither of them and puts in someone who is kind of like Gary Cohn, a guy named Kevin Warsh, who's a former Fed governor, now at Stanford University. Really smart guy, full disclosure, friend of mine and known him for years. His name is in the mix. He could be the default default candidate that Trump picks, because I just don't know how you keep Yellen in there if she's defending post-financial financial crisis reforms that Donald Trump said he wants to get rid of.
Well, taking neither side on this one. We know that President Trump is very interested in getting rid of regulations, or at least not making new ones. For her to have brought that up, I mean, could it be the proverbial nail in the coffin? But then we have 4 seats empty on the Fed. Right.
And by the way, you know, I'd like to see who they put in those seats. It'll be interesting. Now, getting back to monetary policy, what we don't know is Gary Cohn, is Kevin Warsh, are they committed to unwinding the Fed balance sheet in a faster way than Janet Yellen? Janet Yellen wants to do it pretty methodically and slowly. Do they want to do it faster? My guess is that Trump loves easy money, so he's going to unwind it. So she's on the same page with him in terms of unwinding the balance sheet, which if you start unwinding it, right, you sell the securities that you bought from the banks during the financial crisis when you did your quantitative easing. If you sell it out there, well, if you do it faster, it's going to have a depressive impact on monetary policy, on the economy. So, you know, that's the whole thing here. I mean, I think she's on him. She's with Trump on the balance sheet side, unwinding the balance sheet. I don't think she's with him on the regulatory side. Gary Cohn is obviously with him on loosening up Dodd-Frank, which he ran on, and probably on with the you know, anybody that Trump points I think is going to be on with him on the balance sheet. So I think that's where we are now. I think the one safe thing to say, I don't think she's going to be the next. She's going to fill out a term, but she's not going to go beyond that.
And if Gary Cohn helps put together a tax reform plan that gets effectuate, I mean, that would be a big win for the president.
Maybe that's the
gift.
that's the ticket, right, to be Fed chair.
Charlie, thank you very much.